Listen, is Patrick Mahomes the greatest quarterback of all time? I'll just answer this by saying it's on the table that at some point, you know, during my years of covering sports and the game of football, I might be confident saying it one day. Mahomes, the thing about judging players and judging bodies of work overall, it's kind of like, music to a degree, as far as how I look at things. Because can you really say that an album is a classic body of work after the first listen? It's kind of one of those things where let's see how this album ages over time. Let's see, how it stacks up with other albums, So when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, the cement is still very much wet, which is why I don't really like making these claims of, oh, he's the greatest of all time, can't no one touch Patrick Mahomes, because Mahomes is still building on his foundation. So I would like to revisit this conversation at least 5 years from now. Let's see what we're working with. But if you want to call Mahomes the greatest of all time already, knock your socks off, because the eye test, it don't lie. Like, he's wildly, wildly gifted, wildly talented, unbelievable instincts, unbelievable, twitchiness and ability to make decisions on the fly. The guy can make any throw imaginable, but I think what separates him is his leadership and intangibles, his refusal to lose and be denied when the stakes are the highest. Mahomes is elevated under pressure versus some of the best defenses of his era, some of the best coaching staffs of his era. People said early on in his career, and I was actually one of those people, look at the situation. It's Travis Kelce, it's Tyreek Hill, who to me is one of the 5 best wide receivers I've ever seen. He's maybe the fastest football player ever, Tyreek Hill. Oh, it's the offensive line. It's Andy Reid's play calling. Yes, Patrick Mahomes is a guy that landed in an all-time great situation. But if you're going to land in an all-time great situation, what are you getting out of that situation? What we're finding is Patrick Mahomes, he's got the best start to an NFL career at the quarterback position of all time. Now, does that mean he's going to finish as the definitive greatest quarterback of all time? That remains to be seen, but that's where we're at. When it comes to Mahomes, where's the weakness? To put it in baseball terms, he's a guy that can hit 50 home runs in a season and still find a way to bat .330 and not strike out and draw walks. This guy is a complete quarterback. Like, there's really virtually no weakness. How do you stop this guy? You throw blitzes at him, he finds the open man still. You drop back into coverage, he's smart enough and instinctive enough to run around and be patient and, pick his spots and pick apart the defense. We've seen Mahomes be the gunslinger. We've seen Mahomes be the patient check down quarterback. We've seen Mahomes with a lead. We've seen Mahomes without a lead. We've seen Mahomes with a bad defense. We've seen Mahomes with a great defense. He's pretty much every obstacle that's been thrown at Patrick Mahomes outside of Tom Brady, he's pretty much been able to overcome it. And even in his first playoff game versus Tom Brady, he put together a valiant effort in his first ever playoff run. Now, that Super Bowl versus Tom Brady, where the Buccaneers defense kind of figured him out and put a lot of pressure on him, that wasn't the best performance. But, sometimes you got to tip the cap to the defense. They figure guys out. Tom Brady at one point lost to Mark Sanchez in a playoff game. Ben Roethlisberger lost to Tim Tebow in a playoff game at one point. So we got to give credit to these other guys because they're getting paid as well. All right? You can't win the Super Bowl every single year. And here's the thing. What I've come to the realization is that you can make the argument that Patrick Mahomes, even at his worst, is still arguably the best in the world. You want to know why I know this? Because I just saw Patrick Mahomes in his worst statistical year in the regular season still throw for over 4,000 yards, still find a way to win 10 games with a makeshift wide receiver core, a lot of young guys. I understand the defense was great this season, but Mahomes was literally the CEO of that offense. There was no Tyreek Hill in that building. Travis Kelce is still effective and great, but he's getting older. It was all Mahomes. It was the Patrick Mahomes show on offense this season. And he was the ultimate CEO of that offense this year. And he found a way to get it done. Patrick Mahomes, in his worst statistical season, won a Super Bowl. That's amazing. I don't think we're realizing just how good this guy is. There's no competition regarding Patrick Mahomes. It's not even close debating who's the best quarterback in the NFL right now and who's the best player in the NFL right now. Mahomes is competing with himself. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they're competing with themselves. Okay? That doesn't mean that guys like Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson can't exist and we can't have footnotes to say, oh yeah, these guys are pretty talented in their own right. But in terms of who's the best, oh, there's no doubt. It's Mahomes and the Chiefs. And until someone has an extensive body of work that proves otherwise, I don't want to hear it. See, Patrick Mahomes, I just find it is just still mind-boggling to me that 9 players were drafted ahead of this guy in the 2017 NFL draft. And I look back on that draft class, and I was very confused of why the Bears were so in love with Mitchell Trubisky. Now, I was a big Deshaun Watson fan, and I think Deshaun Watson still has a chance to rebound and, really start to have more success in his NFL career. When Deshaun Watson was healthy and didn't deal with a bunch of off-the-field issues, Deshaun Watson was one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But compared to Patrick Mahomes, Mahomes has passed Deshaun and everyone in his draft class by, and he's passing guys like, Brett Favre by, potentially Aaron Rodgers by. John Elway is gone. I mean, at some point when it comes to comparing Patrick Mahomes to all-time great quarterbacks, we're going to run out of names to list. I mean, at this point, can we put Peyton Manning over Patrick Mahomes? I'm not so sure. Peyton Manning went one and done 9 times in the playoffs. 9 times. Patrick Mahomes has never been one and done in his playoff career. I understand that it's kind of a smaller sample size, but when the chips are on the line, give me Patrick Mahomes over Peyton Manning all day, every day. No doubt about it. And from a talent perspective, he's better than Peyton Manning. I'm just going to say it right now. I understand Manning had the 7 All-Pro selections, won 5 MVPs. I'm sorry, but give me Patrick Mahomes over Peyton Manning. Now, when it comes to Joe Montana, Tom Brady, I'm going to put a little bit of a pause on my evaluation of Patrick Mahomes because I think Tom Brady and Joe Montana, their postseason body of work is so great that it makes me pause a little bit. And in terms of just talent, I think Joe Montana threw one of the best deep balls of all time. I think Tom Brady is one of the most accurate quarterbacks to ever live. So from a talent perspective, we're kind of underrating Joe Montana and Tom Brady, to a degree. But Mahomes is right there with them. I mean, I love Aaron Rodgers, but at some point, if Aaron Rodgers don't win another Super Bowl, Mahomes is going to put a lot of distance between him and Rodgers. I mean, because we all know about Rodgers and his talent, but Mahomes, from a talent perspective, you can argue he's just as equally talented as Aaron Rodgers, if not more talented than Aaron Rodgers. If you say that Mahomes is more talented than Rodgers, I'm not going to, fight you on that. I might disagree, but I'm not going to fight you. And if you don't have multiple championships, can you really be in the GOAT conversation in terms of quarterbacks? Probably not. So it's going to be interesting to see how much further Mahomes can take his NFL career because it's been spectacular up to this point. And once again, Patrick Mahomes, even at his worst, is still the best in the world. No doubt about it. Mahomes in a down year has career years for other quarterbacks. If Josh Allen would have thrown for 4,000 passing yards this season, won 10 games, got to a Super Bowl, and won a Super Bowl, it'd be the best performance of his career by far up to this point. Now, we'll see what Josh Allen can do for the future because I'm not going to write the guy off, but that's where we're at right now. Mahomes' worst season is arguably the best season for virtually 98% of all starting quarterbacks that probably have ever lived. That's saying a lot, okay? And that's how I feel about Patrick Mahomes. He's the best of the best, and you got to appreciate greatness while it's there. If anything, guys, GOAT debate, be darned, just appreciate greatness because Patrick Mahomes, he's a great guy, ultimately the comeback kid, and I think it's amazing, and we should be appreciative that we get to see Patrick Mahomes in his prime right here, right now, and it's very fun to watch.